Alright folks, welcome to the channel again. This time we're talking about just a quick overview of all the classes in D&D 5e. And starting off, of course, is the Barbarian. It is the meathead. It is the stereotypical just rage monster that beats things into a pulp. That's really what it specializes in. It has an ability literally called Rage. And what Rage allows you to do is you resist damage, and you do a little bit more damage. So you're designed to be frontline, big angry thing. It beats things. It's really the base of what you do. Depending on which subclass you take, you can get some other abilities that help, defend other party members, or you can go super aggressive and deal more damage on your end. But the amount of damage barbarians can really do, especially against smaller things, more than likely you're going to smash it to pieces before it has a chance to hit you in the first place.
Next, we have the Bard. Typically more of a utility character. You use things that give bonuses to your party members, like inspiration. It lets them add extra to their rolls. Also, you have the abilities of spellcasting, which is helping other people. A lot of their abilities are giving buffs or bonuses to their party members. They do have some offensive abilities, but the majority of their spells are more of a support utility role. One of the big benefits of having a Bard is they have charisma as their primary stat, which is typically seen as the role-playing stat.
Yep.
And with that, they also have the ability Jack of all trades, which lets you get half of your proficiency bonus in all of the abilities you don't have proficiency in. So you have a lot of bonuses. So this is typically your outgoing person, the face of the party. Like they're usually engaging the conversations or trying to deceive someone or persuade someone into doing certain things for your party or to get into certain places. This is your smooth talker for the most part.
Yeah. Next up on the list is the Cleric. Without a doubt, one of the most versatile classes in D&D 5e. Depending on what subclass you pick, you can do a very melee-based beat-em-up type caster. Of course, they're all primarily caster-based. One of the best healer classes you could pick, especially depending on what subclass you take. But you can go very offensive build. They also have a knack ability for dealing with undead things. One of their main abilities is channel divinity. Make undead afraid of them, or flat out kill them if they're weak enough undead and you're high enough character. Or, and depending on your subclass, you will get additional abilities for your channel divinity. For example, my character can maximize lightning or thunder damage. Overall, depending on what you want to do, Cleric is very versatile. Primarily a caster class, but depending on your subclass, you can do a whole lot of healing to your party and yourself. You can do a whole lot of damage with your melee attacks, or you can do a whole lot of damage with spells. Very versatile class overall.
Next, we have the Druid. This is your shapeshifter friendly person here. They're able to use wild shape, which lets them transform into different creatures at certain levels. As you get higher level, you can transform into more powerful creatures. The different subclasses have abilities to emphasize more on your spellcasting or emphasize more on your wild shaping. But basically, these are again a utility class. Now, this is very different from a Bard because the Druid support is you could have the Druid be almost like a hybrid thing. Like if you want to be kind of like a Barbarian, but you want to have some spellcasting, you could be like a wild shape Druid and just turn into like bear form, and just be the class the party tank.
Yes, you can.
Or if you want to be a utility caster, but you don't like the spells available, or you don't like the flavor of the Bard, you could go for a more casting-oriented Druid. And the Druids, in comparison to the Bards, have more offensive abilities, though they do have a lot of nature-based abilities, things that can change the terrain around you, make things more difficult for your opponents, versus the Bard is more helping your friends. The Druid is more about hindering your opponents, I would say.
Next, we have, I guess, the most baseline, in my opinion, of all the classes, the Fighter. And yes, I think the Fighter kind of sounds a little boring, a little cliched, but here's your fun fact. Fighter is the only class that gets 4 attacks at high level. Yeah, the only one that can attack 4 different times. They also get an additional ability score improvement. So I think that, the Wizards of the Coast kind of saw that. Maybe people don't want to play a Fighter. We'll give them a reason to try the Fighter out. And the good thing about the Fighter, besides those additional things, is that they are still very versatile in what they can do. You don't just run around with a weapon in your hand. You can do sword and shield. You can carry a very large weapon and go for heavy damage. You can even you can go archery-based fighter. So it's got some versatility, and you can do depending on what subclass you take. There are different things there. You can be very defensive, very tank-based, and helping your party members not get hit with abilities. You can go with other one and get all these combat maneuvers, making you like a legitimate general of your party as far as when combat takes place, of making things difficult on your enemies to get to your partners as far as controlling the battle space physically or being there to frontline protect that way. There's a lot of things it can do. Very combat oriented class, but it has very much of that general leadership carry for your party when it comes to the combat side as well. So baseline seems simple, but very versatile on the combat side for the fighter.
All right, next we have the monk. This is your classical kind of martial artist. They have lots of abilities. They're primarily get bonuses to unarmed attacks. They have like things, flurry of blows, where they can just attack multiple times, or they can use their key points to disengage or dodge as extra actions. They have lots of mobility, lots of agility. They have all kinds of different ways to interact with their opponents or to throw their opponents off. They can intercept missiles, just all kinds of crazy kung fu martial arts action.
Yep.
If you like that stuff, you'll love the monk. So basically, if you want to play monk, you can turn into Jackie Chan or Aang the Last Airbender or Ninja, Naruto. I mean, do whatever you want. You can just be this crazy monk martial artist that will just destroy and annihilate your opponents.
Okay. Next on our list is the Paladin, another one of my favorite classes. Can you cast spells? Yes. Can you smash things? Yes. Can you defend the entire party? Yes. I wouldn't say they're great at anything, but they are good at everything when it comes to especially the combat side. They can take on the fighting styles to very well protect that way, and can be very, very tanky in the fact they can heal themselves, where your barbarians and fighters have a lot more restrictions on what they can do health-wise.
Yep.
They do have certain spells that really empower their offensive capabilities as well. I hit the target. I'm going to go ahead and make that attack more powerful now that I know that I hit, which is great. And you can go the option of wielding a big giant warhammer, a big giant spear with two hands, and really go offensive with a paladin and be this holy avenger of good. The paladin is the stereotypical, good guy of happiness, but there are ways you can play a paladin. There are even subclasses that exist of paladin. You could be the fallen out of the graces of the gods instead of being the one fighting for the gods. You can be the one that you're going to try to kill the god who betrayed you, or who took advantage of your abilities and kind of thing. You can go that route as well. They do a little bit of everything, they do a little bit of everything very, very well. They can heal, they can do a lot of damage, and they are bulky as all get out to deal with. Do love the paladin.
Next up, we have the ranger or Legolas. If you like using bow and arrow, this is probably going to be one of your main go-tos.
Yep.
You can have an animal companion pet, where you can have like a wolf or someone that follows you around, or a bear, or whatever, a hawk, whatever you want.
Sure.
With that, you also have some spellcasting. This is mostly for like marking your targets or maybe messing with some of the terrain. So you have kind of like a very mild version of Druid spellcasting for the most part.
Yep.
With a few different things thrown in there, like Hunter's Mark and things that give you just a bonus damage to your arrows and things like that. But they are primarily a ranged class that specializes in hunting and things like that. They have favored terrains, which lets you have advantages and things if you're in areas that you're trained in. So if you're like really a forest type ranger, you have bonuses to forests, or if you're hills or mountains or whatever, you have bonuses depending on the location that you're hunting or fighting in. Also, with the ranger, they can give bonuses to their party if they're in their favorite terrain for certain things.
Next up on our list is the rogue, also known as the sneaky poke. I mean, it is what it is. The rogues, unlike some of the other classes that are good at a lot of things, the rogue specializes, and specializes very, very well. Rogues, for the most part, are designed to be very stealthy, very sneaky, and they get literally an attack called sneak attack. You get to do a lot more burst damage on that first hit. One-on-one combat, usually rogues aren't your best option as far as like trying to just a duel, try to outduel somebody. But if you don't see them coming, don't hear them coming, they can easily take out single targets by themselves, and nobody will have ever known they were there. They're great for as far as adventure goes. They're known for picking locks, sneaking around, good at deception and persuasion. They'll pick the locks, they'll take stuff from people. You can be a thief and just walk into the store and catch the shopkeeper not looking, just grab them off the shelf and, sleight of hand, super stealthy, and the guy never knew it'd be gone like 3 weeks later, and you've already left the continent for that matter. Of course, the one good thing the rogues do have as far as once they get caught, you know, they're no longer sneaking around, they're in combat, is they do get both Uncanny Dodge and Evasion, which are two different abilities that help them mitigate damage. Dodge away from individual attacks or, you know, at the last second dive out of the way of the incoming fireball to help reduce some of the blow for the damage. So gives them some extra survivability to deal with combat. Maybe not as well-rounded as some other classes, but excel in the few things they are very, very good at.
The Sorcerer is next. This is a typical caster, but it's a little bit different than the textbook caster, which we'll get into a bit later. The Sorcerer is a magic user that comes from their innate ability. It's something that they're either born with or that they've inherited from some mysterious source, but it comes through their charisma. They're using their willpower to generate their magic. It's not something that they learn, it's something that they have innately inside them. This makes it a little bit more interesting with their abilities. They also have something called Sorcerer Points, which allows them to either trade them for more spell slots, or you could turn spell slots into sorcery points and use these points to empower your spells. So you could twin cast something where you can cast a target and then copy it and hit something else. Or you can heighten it, or you can quicken it. You can cast a spell as a bonus action. So you can cast Fireball. You can just shoot multiple things off, or speed, or silently cast. So you get like a surprise attack with a spell cast.
Sneaky Fireball.
So there's lots of different ways to empower your spells, and that makes them a lot different from the other casters. It has the smallest hit die, so you're gonna have a low health pool but high potential damage output. So you're basically the group's glass cannon, so to say.
All right, next up is the Warlock. And Warlock is a very unique caster from the rest of the bunch because it does not know as many spells as a lot of other classes do. It does not have as many spell slots as the other do. You think, well, that sounds like a huge drawback. But Warlocks get the best cantrip spell in existence, Eldritch Blast. They also get abilities like Eldritch Invocations, which can be used both for adventuring side and social side, or empowering your abilities you already have. So it's very customizable within the class. Probably the most customizable class when it comes to features-wise as far as casters go. And while it doesn't have as many spell slots, it gets them back on short rest. So they can't fire as many big spells, but they can do them more often. So they don't have to worry about holding on to their spells as much. If you're all the other caster classes, to be more careful about when they use their spells, because they only get them back once a day, unless you get to some very detailed abilities here or there for some other classes. But Warlocks, they take a little 1 hour nap, spells are back, and they're ready to start firing again at all cylinders. So play very uniquely. They do have, of course, they're not just a pure caster. They're a little bit more meat on them than what a wizard or a sorcerer has with a D8 hit dice. But they also do have some unique subclasses that kind of change the stereotypical caster a bit. So there's some versatility and some options there, depending on where you want to go. But it's very much the made a deal with some kind of either demonic force or this magical, fey force is how you got your magic to start with. So it's got a very unique, I guess, RP backstory element for how you became a warlock to start with.
Last up, we have the wizard. This is your classical caster. This is the person who they dedicate their life to studying and learning spells. And with that, there comes their spell book, which is something that none of the other classes have. They can find spells out in the world and add them to their spell book without having to level up. So that's one thing to consider. Also, they have the ability to specialize in different schools of magic. You have lots of different kinds. You got transmutation, you got your necromancy, you got your, all these enchantment, all these different illusion, all these different things that are just give you specializations. And when you specialize in these different schools, you get bonuses depending on if you cast spells that are within your school. So you're not limited to these schools of magic, but if you do specialize in these schools, you get bonuses for using those types of spells. And then the other thing too with wizards is they have the ability to be more offensive or defensive based on the schools that they pick. So it gives you a little bit more options and abilities, and they have a huge list of spells to choose from. They're the most in-depth casting class by far, and they have a lot of potential for specialization, which can make them very customizable. You just have this huge, broad access to spells that no other class has.
All right, folks, that is our quick run-through, as quick as I guess it can be when you're going through 12 classes of D&D 5e. So we give you a little bit of basic run-through on everything. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Leave us a comment for what you want to see from future videos. Hope you liked it.
Thanks, guys.
The wizard!